I call this story This One. In 1973, I went to Saudi Arabia for Halliburton, and I ended up down in a place called the Rubicali. And the Rubicali means empty quarter, and I mean to tell you, this place is the most empty place that you ever dreamed of. Sand hills are 1,000 foot tall, and only one other place in the world that has taller sand hills than that, and that's Algeria. They beat those sand hills in Crane and in Monahans a whole bunch bigger. Well, we had a drilling rig down there called IDC 31. A fellow named Charlie Collins from Crane was a daylight driller on it. And a guy named Jess Baxter was the drilling superintendent, and Bob Gooch was the Aramco company man. And we all had a pretty good time, but I had a guy with me named Ollie. He was my helper. And Ollie was drilling a standoff bottom. That boy, he just wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer. But old Ollie, we'd do anything for you. He'd help him do anything he wanted to do. He was just more than happy to do it, but he just needed a little bit of help. But he didn't speak any English. The only thing he had ever learned in English was this one. Well, when I got there and looked at this unit, it was in horrible condition, and so the first thing to do is actually clean it up. Well, I got looking around for the equipment, mixing equipment, and there wasn't any on location at all. I mean, no bowl, no hopper, no nothing. And so I got on a single sideband radio, and I called into town in Abqaiq, Saudi Arabia, and I asked my boss, Don McGrew. I said, Don, any idea where the mixing equipment is? I'm going to have some stuff down here before we can set this surface pipe. And he said, Jay, he said, I know it's all there. So he said, just start circling that unit. And he said, these Bedouins down there will pick stuff up and haul it off, thinking they can use it for something. He said, when it gets too heavy to carry, they'll just lay her down. So I got circling that unit, and sure enough, about more than half a mile out, I found every piece of that mixing equipment, took it all back to the rig, cleaned it up, got ready to go, mixing cement with it. So Ollie and I decided we was going to clean this cement and stuff off this unit. It hadn't been cleaned up in 5 years. Nobody had even seen it in 5 years. And so Ollie and I got our buckets and diesel and soap, and we scrubbed that unit down real good, and we picked up water into the tanks, and we had us a homemade high-pressure water hose there, and it ran off of an HT400 pump. Well, that's a positive displacement pump, and I guarantee you when that pump strokes, you're going to get something out of it. So I knew that Ollie probably would let that water hose go, and that thing had beat him half to death. So I told him, I'll do this. And Ollie and I had been working on this thing for a week or 10 days. We had her pretty shined up, and we needed to wash that soap and diesel off of it. So I put Ollie on the throttle, and I stood up, had the two pumps, and then the water tanks, and then two big diesel engines, and then we had the radiators, and then back behind them was the two big diesel tanks, and then a couple of toolboxes. So what I did was I got up between those two fuel tanks, and I had Ollie on the throttle, and I said, Ollie, give her a little bit of gas. And so he looked at me, and he said, this one, I could read his lips, the motor's running. And he just took that throttle, and he just opened it wide open. Well, I'm holding on to that hose with both hands, and that thing is so strong, it just laid me back flat between those two tanks. Two diesel tanks, and I've got water squirting up in there, and I know if I let go of that hose, it is going to beat me half to death or even kill me. And so there wasn't anything I could do. Well, I was young and healthy, so I finally got that water hose bent down where I could squirt Ollie with it and get his attention. He was in La La Land. He was out there thinking that he had finally made the big time by getting to run the pump, and it was amazing. The sun just come out. It was amazing that old Ollie he wasn't even looking at me, and I got that water hose and I was douching his ass out. And finally he looked back and he slowed her down, and I put Ollie back there on the throttle, and or on the water hose, and I ran it for him and let him wash it off. The son of a gun dang near killed me with that one, but it was certainly a learning experience. This one was not something that I really wanted to hear. I ended up staying down in that desert that time for 6 weeks. Old boy that was supposed to relieve me got drunk, got thrown in jail in Gonzales, Texas. Judge said, well, son, I'm going to give you a week. And This smart mouth son of a gun said, well, I can do a week standing on my head. That judge looked at him and he said, well, why don't you take a month, see if you can get back on your feet. Well, the month that he did in the jailhouse in Gonzales, I did in the desert with this one, with old Ollie. It's another amazing story, but it is a nearly true story, and I think you'll enjoy it. Keep us in mind. We'll have some more of these things for you.